All right, Darcy, now we're ready. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Wrap. George Ringer. If you didn't know that, hey, welcome to it for the first time. I have to tell everybody, I got 2 compliments today about the show, so we appreciate it. I even asked the one person, you really watch? And they're like, yeah, don't miss it. And I'm like, okay, whatever you got to do, whatever floats your boat. Hey.
Well, this would we had one criticism from next Johnny he watched the show and he says he asked earlier when we were doing outside, don't you have a studio? We do now. And so, it's so Mark, we got the studio, it looks really good. This is where I live, right here. So this is George's studio.
Well, and I'm going to say this in a week or so, we're not going to be in the studio anymore because it's going to be we're going to get a new studio. We're going to go outdoors.
We are indeed.
We'll put Rainy Lake in behind us.
Yes.
And see what happens. Where should we start? Should we start with hockey?
We can start with hockey.
Yeah, let's start with hockey because it's Wednesday.
It is.
And we're just at about an hour plus away from Game 6 of the old opening series, the Wild versus the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's been interesting since we last spoke.
Game 5 almost drove me nuts, Tim. 40 shots to 12. I mean, the Wild had 3 shots at the end of the second period. You just saw this play, and you just saw there's no way. But of course, they had 3 goals in the first period.
That helped.
And they were able to hang on from that point on, but they were getting no shots. And Vegas they were just hammering them.
You know what the saving grace was for me?
Huh?
I was sleeping.
Oh, well, I watched.
I think maybe I saw the first goal, and then it was nighty night. I was done for.
Well, we'll talk about that first goal in a second, but I turned it off at the end of the second period because my one eye was closing and the other eye wasn't doing so hot. Went to bed and I laid there, and then I thought, I even actually slept for a couple hours, but I had it recorded. I wonder what the score of that game is. How that game turned. So I got up and watched the third period, and the third period, to try to coach something like that, they set records for lack of shots at a playoff game. They had never ever been able to get those few shots off. But they were able to sneak out 4-1, 4-2.
Here's the thing. We've watched 5 games in this series.
Yeah.
4 times the visitor has won, number 1.
Yeah, that's amazing there.
The other thing is, it seems like when the team gets outplayed, they win.
Yes.
What the heck is going on? At least 3 games in this series have ended up that way, where the team that you would, if you just watched and you had no scoreboard, no nothing, you just watched the game, you would say, this team won. But on the scoreboard, they're not winning. It's bizarre. It's weird.
Yeah, it was a very strange game, and I'll tell you what I really kind of enjoyed was Zach Parise.
Yeah.
Zach Parise come out, sparked the team, got this incredible weird goal to first off, bounced it off of Fleur's pads, and it went into the net. And Fleur had to look like, what do you got to do to get a save around here? But I think Parise came out. He took control of that fourth line. He was, I think, the spark on that team. He's the oldest one on the team.
Is he? What's the right word? Debuting? Is he putting himself out there so that other teams can see him and they'll bring him in? Because I think he's trying to show that the Wild made a mistake. By sitting me down, they made a mistake, and that's great. Not that Parise's that. I don't know. I just think that he knows. I think he knows that the end is near in Minnesota, and he's playing so somebody will sign him and take care of him and whatever else. And I know he's got a lot of money, but he wants to go out there. He still wants to play hockey, but I don't know if he'll be playing hockey in Minnesota anymore. At least not in a Wild jersey.
Well, it's like one of the things. He gets $7.5 million, which is a moderate salary for a man of his experience. but you get a rookie for a lot less, and so that might be the point. The fact of it is that right now he's hot. He's going to be on the ice tonight, and if the Wild is going to win and send this into 7 games, Zach Parise is going to be a factor. We have Kirill the Thrill. I call him Zach the Attack, and you got to have a name. And so also I think that he's got to be on. He's got to be on the power play. He hustles so much on that power play. Anytime he's on the ice, but when you can contain him on one end, boy, he really, really is banging, and he's showing these young guys that you can really get this job done, and they've got good legs and they've got good things. But I tell you, age, they're saying they're putting age behind Zach Parise, 36. He's a kid. Phil Mickelson, he's 50. Tom Brady, he's 43. Nelson Cruz is going to turn 41, if not today, tomorrow. And these guys are in the top of their prime, and so these days the age is totally a number, and so I'm pulling for Zach tonight.
Yeah, I'm obviously pulling for Zach. I just feel that that's the way things are. I still go back to what he did back 2.5 months ago when he didn't come off the ice when he was supposed to or should have come off the ice, and he was told, and we don't need to rehash it. So what's your prediction? We talked last Wednesday when we were here that if it was going to get to Game 6, and we both thought it would get to Game 6, that we would be talking about this game tonight. So what's your feeling? What's going to happen? Because by the time everybody sees this, we're going to know what.
Well, they have home ice advantage. I'm not sure that means anything. But if they play in which you're going to give 3-1 or 4-1 shots to the other team, they're going to lose. They're going to lose. They're going to lose badly. They're not going to be able to survive the barrage of shots. And I heard that term for them. And there was for a time just barrages. And Cam Talbot. He can only do so much, but it's like he said, quality over quantity, and I'm not sure whether or not.
I really don't know what to say about, because I think I kind of said it already. Just because you play better doesn't mean you're going to win in this series. It's been frustrating. Kirill finally got his first goal the other night. I just feel like that broke the seal for. I think he's going to have a big night. Whether that means he's going to have enough that it's going to be that the Wild win, I don't know. But it's been an interesting series, and I'm hoping that maybe with it starting at 8:00 tonight, maybe I'll make it to the end.
No, we're pumped at this house for that. But I tell you, I watched that Golden Knights come out. I mean, Mark Stone.
Huh?
Look at this guy. He was born to play hockey. Did you check out that face? I mean, he is there to create mayhem, score goals, and otherwise make himself known. He's an incredible hockey player.
To me, he's a true captain, because obviously he leads the team, but he also does it by example. And
he does.
That's not necessarily always easy to do.
Oh no, he come walking out, and they interviewed him. I don't know, one of the games, and I looked at him and I thought, and he's huge too, and he says, I bet you he's fun in the corner.
So, are the Wild going to win?
I think the Wild has an opportunity to win. They will. If they get an opportunity to win, if they get behind, they won't get an opportunity to win, and the series will be over. Now, what they can do after that, who's to say? But, after you lose 3, you kind of have to take them a game at a time, don't you?
Yeah. It's going to go at least 7. I don't know what's going to happen after that, but I say it's going to go 7.
I hope.
And Friday night will be interesting. Let's hope that it stays that way. Might as well just talk about the rest of the NHL playoffs, as long as I've got them written down. Toronto and Montreal, who started basically 4 or 5 days later than the Wild did, have already played 4 games. Toronto's up 3-1.
They took it to them last night.
Last night. Yeah. Winnipeg, wow, what a shocker. They take down Edmonton 4 straight. Didn't see that coming. It was a triple overtime game last night. So it started in Winnipeg at figure out what time they get done. I can't even imagine. The Tampa Bay's up 3-2. They got a chance to close out Florida tonight. Carolina's up 3-2 over Nashville. The Islanders have a chance to eliminate Pittsburgh, which would, of course, make everybody very happy except for the people in Pittsburgh, I think.
My friend Julie will not like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Boston took down Washington 4-1. That was a little bit of a shocker for me. I didn't see that happening. The Washington Capitol fans, I'm sure, are, I think they kind of feel a little bit like the Wild do. You know, Ovi got out and won the championship the one year, if I remember right, and otherwise it's been kind of like with the Wild. They just don't get out. Colorado, wow, absolutely bombarded St. Louis.
Colorado right now is just a heck of a hockey team, and it's...
And then, of course, Wilder Vegas are going to get Colorado, and Colorado's going to get to sit around for a few days and rest up. So Colorado's going to be tough. A lot of people might argue that 3 of the 4 or 5 best teams in the NHL were in one division, and it just so happens to be the one that the Minnesota Wild is.
But the Wild is in this clump, and they don't have to take a back seat to any of those power teams. And and in days past, that wasn't always the case.
No, that's a good point. They're there, and if they lose this series, the last thing I want to hear about it from people is that, the Wild can't win a big series. Hey, if you don't think that the Wild are there doing some good things, the number of goals has been limited. Maybe the number of shots haven't been what we wanted, but they've shown themselves. If I go back 6 months, let's say, to November, I think you can go back and look at any of our shows where I was saying, hey, you know what? If they were to get about the 4th pick or 5th pick in the draft, I'd be pretty happy. Now we're talking, maybe they should win the Stanley Cup. So whatever they do, is icing on the cake.
I have to agree with you. I think they're the most exciting Minnesota professional team I've seen in a long, long time, and
more than the Bombas from a couple years ago when they hit 307 home runs or whatever it was.
Wow, that was fun too.
That was pretty exciting too.
That was pretty exciting.
Right now, though, you're right. The Wild are there.
Yeah, they are.
No doubt about it. You want to talk about the Twins next?
We can talk about the Twins. Let's go right to the Twins.
The Twins, can I just say that they're playing better ball?
They're playing much better ball. I watched them today.
Six out of the last 7, 4 in a row.
We got Trevor Larnach. We've got Alex Kirilloff. And we got Rob Refsnyder. And 2 weeks ago,
and don't forget about Garlick.
And not to mention Garlick.
4 rookies.
4 rookies. I asked a man that knows. I says, "Have you ever heard of Rob Refsnyder?" And he says, "Yeah, 2 weeks ago." Yeah. And this is where this guy comes up. But if you take a look at it, it's his first series. He doubles twice. He homers. He drives in 2 runs. He scrambles home from third base and scores. And then he makes a diving catch for the thing, and I think, I don't know.
And center field isn't in his position.
And center field isn't in position. But you take a look at these guys; they all play position. I mean, what would you do without Astudillo right now playing catcher?
Well, and here, this I don't know if it came up in the paper today, but I've been thinking the last few days. Okay, we're talking about these 4 rookies.
Yeah.
Okay. Outfielders mostly.
Yep.
Got a first baseman in there, possibly, hopefully. So, what do you do? So you've got Jake Cave, who's on the 60-day IL. I don't see him coming back into the fold because Buxton will be there, Kepler's there, and then you got these kids that are playing in the outfield. Okay, now you got Luis Ariz. Now you got Miguel Sano. You got
Nelson Cruz.
You got Polanco. What?
They got a logjam of talent here.
They've got some guys, and somebody's gonna be the odd man out. Now, it's good because of the number of injuries that they've had, that they've got a lot of odd men out right now. We wouldn't probably be talking about it this way if they didn't have the injuries. A lot of these guys would be playing over with the St. Paul Saints, and the Saints would probably be doing a heck of a lot better. So it's a good problem to have. It's going to be interesting to see what the Twins do come July 15. If we're still doing this show at that time, who's going on the trade block? Because by that time, and I know people are going to think I'm nuts. By that time, the Twins are going to be in the race.
They are.
They are going to be. They're going to be. No. They may not make it all the way back, but they're going to be in the race. And
they're only 8.5 games out right now, and it's May.
And they're going to need an arm.
That's true.
They're going to need an arm. And so who's going on the block? Who's going to get traded? Is it going to be somebody young? Is it going to be somebody old? Is it going to be whatever to get that next pitching arm? And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Barrios looked, I thought, pretty good yesterday. From what very little of it I got to watch. Pineda was on his game today.
He really pitched well.
The bullpen still is questionable. I think that's the arm we might be talking about, to go out and find a closer, the guy who you can just say.
Robles he's doing all right, but he can't do the whole thing.
Well, they're trying to do it by committee, and that's Rocco's way of doing it. I'd just soon have the Terminator or somebody, Aguilera or somebody who, got that nastiness on his face, and when it comes time, we know if all we need is 3 more outs, 19 out of 20 times we're going to get those 3 outs and win. So
9 or 10 pitches is all you need, but they got to be great pitches.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's been fun. Of course, Sano's been hot. Maybe cooled off a little bit in the last couple of games.
He got six home runs in the last 10 games, and today, when he smacked that sucker, that was one happy man walking around the bases.
I have to admit, I had it on, and when they said he came up, I stopped. I turned around, I watched, because the TV in my classroom was up here, and I had it on, and I was listening to it like it was on the radio while I'm doing my stuff. And like I said, when he came up, I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop and I'm going to watch. And my Uncle Paul wants Sano gone. Get rid of him, done. And he might be the guy on the trading block. He wants him gone. So I had the phone all ready to type in some response to him when he hit the home run, and son of a gun, if he didn't hit it. I was just like, man. So he got a text immediately. So.
Well, I want to say to Uncle Paul, remember, Daniel Ortiz. And we go by there, and it's just, and they're both, you just have to kind of give this guy a little time. No, at that point in time, what do you say? You're going to get rid of Nelson Cruz? Well, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but somebody was rationalizing, saying he's never been on a contender, never been on a World Series team. Maybe you could find a place on a World Series caliber baseball team. And,
it's the Twins.
Well, I thought it was the Twins. Yes, that's what I was hoping for too. But I think that they were just trying to find a way. That's not going to happen. I think Nelson Cruz can be a Twin for as long as he wants to, and I don't think that they're going to toss Sano because they remember Ortiz.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. So
it is. It really is.
Well, Tampa Bay had their 11-game win streak broken here last night, and San Diego. There's just been some streaking teams lately. So the MLB starting to heat up, of course, with the playoffs and everything else going into June pretty heavily. By the time July rolls around, we'll have a pretty good idea of who's going to make a run.
And there's going to be a couple of 12-game win streaks before the season's out. What are the Twins? They're on a 5 now, or
4?
4, and 5 out of 6 or 5 out of 7. They're playing pretty good baseball, and let's see what happens. It's it is what it is. It's just that they dug themselves a pretty big hole, and I don't know if they've got enough to get out of it, but I'd hope so. It's like Pat Rusey says, it's hard when your team stinks early.
It is.
And they did.
Yes. Shall we stay with baseball and talk about Mr. Ulrich?
Let's talk about him. Yeah.
His
nice guy.
His collegiate career comes to an end over the weekend. played in 24 games this year, batted .344, 13 walks. I mean, what do you say? He got in the lineup and he never left the lineup.
And he was a leadoff. He was a leadoff hitter for a reason, because he got on base a lot. 13 walks out of those. I mean, he was out there when he walked out. He was in control of that batter's box, and I just liked the way he could hit to the opposite field, and I mean, every time he hit to the opposite field, he was going to get a double. It's hard to recover from that.
Dad put out on Saturday morning on Facebook, let's cheer for this guy as he plays his last game, and I said, is this the end or is it a new beginning? And Daryl got back and said, let's hope that it's a new beginning, that this isn't the end of it. I know he's out there looking. I know he's trying to get signed on somewhere independently. They kind of took a lot of those extra teams away.
Yeah.
So it made it even more difficult when you contract 40 minor league teams. That takes away 1,200 spots. Think about that. 40 teams, 30 guys at least on the team. That's over 1,000 jobs, which makes it that much more difficult to get your foot in the door. But I would never doubt him. I've said that from the word go everywhere he's went. They all said, well, he can't do it. As soon as they put him on the field, guess what? He did it. So
one of the things that I kind of enjoyed watching all the games, all the teams that he's played, but George Mason had a first baseman that was as big as you and me. And every time somebody got on the base, he fist bumped them. He was smiling, telling jokes. I says, these guys are as friendly a group of people in competition as I've ever seen. I think that you have high-caliber university, high-caliber students like that, it becomes a pretty good time.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was just at a baseball game, and I think the players felt very collegial as well, in the fact that, of course, they got to see each other in school today.
Yeah.
And so people are running to second base, and there are somebody on the opposing team is saying, give me a hug. Give me a fist bump. High five.
Yeah.
And they're chasing each other around. Of course, I'm talking about T-ball. My son's T-ball team. It's like trying to herd. I don't know. It's what it is. It's worse than what you. It's just craziness. But it's fun. They're getting better every game. It's kind of scary to watch them how much they improve even day to day. They played back-to-back days, and so anyway.
Anyway, I really enjoyed watching Wyatt play this year, and if we could have a series of kids that we knew that would go through something like that, I would have no problem rationalizing paying for my ESPN Plus. But that was really good time. I watched him play 7 games.
Well, I thought about the ESPN Plus today at some point, and I thought, well, do I want to keep paying my $6.29? And I'm like, yeah, because Canadian football starts in about 2 months. Well, in order to watch Canadian football, they have an occasional game on ESPN, but if you want to watch a lot of games, you got to have ESPN Plus, and I will continue to have it just mainly for the next couple of months for that.
Yeah. No, so. I agree. It's
How about Gopher softball? Did you get a chance to watch? It was on. It was on a little bit, but then you had to watch it on Watch ESPN or on your computer.
I watched it, and we watched all the games, and they came back and beat Fresno and got that one back, and they just couldn't pull it together for that last game. But
I thought when UCLA had to change pitchers, I thought we got them. This is going to be it. We're going to force an extra game. But it just didn't happen. UCLA is a good team. They were ranked number 2 in the nation for a reason. They hung right with them 2-1 in the final game. A different hit, a different result here or there. You just don't know. And it would have been fun to get them a chance because Virginia Tech is unseeded. And it could have been where the Gophers, I think, might have been playing at home this weekend. I'm not sure about that. But just the fact that they'd have made another super regional with a team that was pretty good, just not good, not as good as that team a couple years ago.
You couldn't help but be impressed by the caliber of athleticism and at this level, the pitchers were strong and would hit you with all kinds of stuff.
The girl from Fresno was throwing 75 miles an hour,
and it's not that far.
Holy!
You figure 68, 60, 69 is really, really zipping, and she was throwing stuff like,
it's crazy.
It is. I played fast pitch in the day, and I was much too slow to play fast. So
it's going to be fun because, today's Wednesday. Thursday, there's a couple games on ESPN, and then there's even a game on ABC on Saturday afternoon. Oklahoma, the number one overall seed, they're taking on Washington, who eked out against Michigan down on it. Would have been nice to see a Big Ten team in there, but it's the way it goes, and so. Big weekend. Everybody plays a 3-game series, and then the next week they start the College World Series. And God is my witness, if I live long enough, I will get to the softball College World Series one year. Even though it's in Oklahoma, it'll be about 1,000 degrees. I'll go down there and I'll suck it up because, of course, I've been to Omaha where it can get just as warm.
Oh yeah, no.
In Omaha as well.
Omaha and Kansas City. Those are cookers down there.
They can be.
Yeah.
So, good year for the Gopher softball team. I'll stay with softball. How about Rainy River softball?
Let's talk about them. They were overpowering this year.
They were, wow.
And so they're in Syracuse right now?
They are probably in Syracuse by now, I would guess. But the way they are traveling, they were driving 2 vans. All the way to Syracuse.
Oh, boy.
The plan was to stop in South Bend last night.
Okay.
And then drive the rest of the way today. So, even if you got going by 6-ish in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, from South Bend, it's probably another 10 hours. So, and that's if you're, really cruising. When you got 6 people in the van, you got to stop and go potties and all that other stuff as well. So, probably, it's 8 o'clock here now, 8 o'clock Eastern time when we're doing this. So they should be there. They play at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, our time.
Yeah.
And I know that the games are online. It's double elimination. They got the number 8 seed. They got to play number 1 seed Rock Valley. But as head coach Dieter Humbert said to me, I don't know if you remember, but when we went there in 2004, I think it was 04, if I got that year wrong, he said, similar situation. No respect, low seed, and we go out there, and he said we win a couple of games, and all of a sudden we're in the championship game. And
people are wondering, where's Rainy River? Rainy River. They don't even know.
So this team's, for $10 tomorrow morning, it's going on my computer. I don't know how much I'm going to get to watch of it, but it's going to be on my computer. I'm going to pay the freight so I can watch and see what happens. And Taylor Sears last week, it's amazing when you get your right prescription on how well you can hit the softball. Because she hit 5 for 7, a couple of home runs, named MVP of the tournament. And then, of course, Marissa Carey and Mariah Leahy, International Fallsians, doing the job. Mariah pitched a whale of a game. Started both games, and then Marissa, came in relief in game 2, and they hit the ball around 4 home runs in the second game.
Yeah.
So I think Dieter said average home run per game, second in the nation.
Yeah, so I was amazed at that.
So they've got some power hitters. They do a lot of good things. It's going to be interesting what type of pitcher. And that's what I really want to see when I watch tomorrow. What kind of pitcher are they going to be facing from Rock Valley? Do they have one of these girls that is a 65, 68 mile an hour thrower, and the girls aren't used to that type of speed? They haven't seen anybody like that. And if you haven't seen that, how do you get to adjust on the fly and keep up? So this team, nothing will surprise me. They play the field well. Mariah's going to do well in the pitching circle. Marissa can come in relief. Jazz can come in relief. So they got to play 2 games on Thursday. I'm excited to see what this team does, and hopefully things go well.
Well, this team is a class act, and I'll tell you, that's completely a reflection of the coach, and he's been doing this for an awful long time, and he's always handled himself in a class fashion, and I think his teams have always been a reflection of that. So, hey, I'm pulling for him, and Dieter, go get him, buddy.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm crossing my fingers for is that they've only got this many players. They only got 9 players.
Ooh.
And you got to play with 9. Somebody gets hurt, the season comes to an end. So unless you just roll them out there like in a wheelchair or something, and if the ball's hit over there, somebody else has got to go play it. But no, seriously, that it is an issue. Had me very scared last week that something could happen. You slide into a base, somebody slides into you. Things happen.
It's an action game. There are injuries.
Catcher at home, somebody slides in. So there's things that can happen, but I think Taylor said it well in our post-game interview on the radio. When I asked her, I said, is this icing on the cake, or are there expectations? She says, this is icing on the cake. Whatever happens from here. We're going to go out there, we're going to take it seriously, but whatever happens, and if we do great, and if we do poorly, great, because we won a region championship. And that's a pretty big deal.
It is, and it doesn't happen every day. And it's, for them to put that kind of talent way up here in the North Woods and produce, like I say, it's a reflection of the coach and of the program.
How about Joe West? 5,376 baseball games umped.
That is incredible. And I mean, and it goes back.
He might not be a very good umpire, but he's still doing it.
Well, it was a great picture that he had where everybody and the whole crowd is standing and giving a standing oath to the umpire. Again, see, you can't do that without really loving the game.
Absolutely. They talked about he's been umping in the majors since '76.
Yeah.
So put 46 years in there. So think about his age. I don't even care if he started when he was 22. That makes him 68, 67, 68. And now you're going to go out and do 9 innings, and then maybe do 9 innings behind the plate in 100-degree heat at some point during the summer. I would suspect that this is probably this is the last year, I'm guessing, because he got the record, the most games umped. I think that was something that when you get that close, you got to go for it. But as I said, there are people who, when Joe West is behind the plate, they're already on edge.
Well, you already said that time earlier this year. If you want to be an official, go learn how to do it, because you have to have them. And in order to get good, you really have to apply yourself.
If you didn't, you should. There's an article in the Duluth paper sometime in the last couple of days where they talked about the umpire and referee shortage and the need, what they're trying to do to get more kids, girls, to come out and be refs. They said 2 years ago the Duluth Association for Umpires had like 70. This year they've got 35.
Oh.
They've got umpires umping varsity games, one umpire. Well, that's not an ideal situation.
No, it's awful.
So there's some pressure out there, and right now they talked about it in the article. Kids, 22-year-old kids, don't want to be yelled at. And the one umpire said, it's not like the old days when coaches really used to get after you. The coaches and the parents have kind of calmed down because we're working at sportsmanship and doing things the right way and whatever else. But they said the first time that kid gets yelled at by a coach that really jumps him, done. They put the whistle away. They put the mask away. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And I talked to Babe Glumack and Kelly McCauley last weekend at the softball tournament here in town, and we were talking about this very thing. And I said, I'm going to ask this because you guys ump, and Babe's umped since 1969.
Ooh.
Okay? Think about that. He did Big Ten games for many, many years. But I asked him, I said, is it a money thing? I said, and I picked a number. I said something like, if you guys are getting paid $80 for a game now, and I upped it to $120, would we get more kids? Would more kids come in and say, for $120, I'll do it because that's another half on top of it. I can take some coach questioning me or some parent yelling at me from the stands for $40 more. And they kind of looked like it would be nice if we made more. He says, I don't know if it would make a difference for kids because that yelling thing, the money isn't necessarily it. But, a guy like Babe, who has a part-time job, 2 part-time jobs. He's got his part-time job and then he's got his umping gig. He says...
And he picks up mileage on that.
And he picks up mileage.
Yeah.
But he says, I can make $400 or $500 a week. Umping. Well, you got to have the right schedule.
Yep.
You got to have the right employer who will let you go early sometimes when you're reffing or umping. And I see young kids. And I used to run the Little League, the umpires for Little League, and with the hope that some of those kids would, at some point, continue doing it. And it just hasn't happened. And it's too bad.
Well, I talked to a couple officials right here in town, and they were talking about it's difficult.
Do you lift weights with one of the guys?
I do. And
Andy, good job.
And he just says if they just added a little bit to the kitty, because it gets to be an awful long day, and they don't. A lot of times they don't get paid what the association recommendations are, but it's one of those things. Referees, they're very, very dedicated, but they don't work for nothing, and so you have to be able to up that up.
I know the Duluth Association, they were getting $82 a game for a varsity game, and I thought it's not bad for 2 hours work, 2.5 hours work, but then of course you got the driving. And you got to buy equipment, and all the other stuff. Yeah. So I know schools are strapped for cash as well, but it's something that I think seriously is something's going to have to be done.
Well, I think so too, and it's just going to have to be. It's just going to have to be done, and and enough people know this. I mean, we have people that are running the show here. They officiated for years.
Yeah.
And so but you have to take care of your officials. You have to take care of your coaches.
And I understand what these young kids are talking about because I used to ump baseball too, and that was the one thing about baseball that I didn't like because, well, I said this to Babe and Kelly the other day. It always pissed me off when some coach from the dugout would tell me whether the pitch was inside or outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you probably got a better judge on it up and down, but I got a pretty good judge on it whether it's inside or outside. So don't complain to me about inside or outside. You can complain all you want about high, low, whatever else all day, but do not talk to me about inside, outside. And that used to drive me nuts.
Well,
because not everybody's strike zone is the same.
I one time got into discussion with a wrestling official.
Oh boy, I can just about imagine this.
And he said,
I'm sure it was very cordial.
It was cordial, kind of, and so he come to me and he says, I can see you have a well-coached, well-prepared team. I'm a very fine referee. I think you should do your job, and you should let me do mine. And I learned from that.
Yeah.
Not entirely, but I picked up. I remembered it because it was 30 years ago. But it's that is huge.
But I know we can keep bantering about this probably forever. But I will say this: the Central Lakes softball coach last week, he's one of those coaches I could see as an umpire where he could very much get on your nerves because he seems to. And if you're watching, Ray, if you ever see this, don't take this the wrong way. He seems to know everything. He's got an opinion on everything. But what I liked about what he did was he would come up and he would say to the umpire, "Can I ask you a question?" Which meant I'm going to say something you don't like, but at least he came up and said, "Can I talk to you?" Because he's giving me a chance to say, "No." Now, what he might respond back in the other way, because the referee, of course, is going to say yes, and then understand that it's going to have to be a talk. That's the right way to do it. Instead of the coach come running up and saying, "You're wrong," So, like I said, it's something that coaches need to work on. I think coaches have gotten better.
They have.
Parents have gotten better. You don't see the embarrassing things that sometimes I think we saw out of parents many, many years ago. I'm not saying that there aren't bad things, but anyway.
Yeah, so much for our officiating. All right. You do have to have them.
You got to have them.
Yes.
Where are we going to go next? You want to talk a little?
Can I talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers?
Sure, why not? Because we're going to talk about Adam Vinatieri too.
Well, then there you are. No, Aaron, as it turns out, doesn't want to be a Packer anymore because he's concluded that the Packers do not have him in their plans for long term, and so he kind of got into an argument with General Manager Gutekunst. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I think that's because his dad used to coach at the U.
That's right.
And Aaron has concluded that they would have dumped him at the end of this year, except that he had an MVP year and made it into the NFL championship. So it's difficult for anybody to fire him after a performance like that.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. Did I see somewhere along the way, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought he made a comment about the offense does not help his abilities, does not work mesh with his abilities. Did I see that or did I dream that?
Well, I don't know, but I could see that he might say that because, and I'll tell you what. They had their volunteer their drills, and he didn't show up, and neither did any of his receivers. So
I'm not. ESPN and everybody tried to blow that thing.
Yeah.
There was no surprises. A lot of players aren't going to show up for OTAs.
That's volunteer thing.
Yeah, this is like I said. I'm not reading any more into that than what needs to be there. Is he going to be in green and gold next fall? I believe so.
I believe he will.
Are they going to be show a good face in public? Yes. Is it going to be nasty behind the scenes? You bet. At some point, probably after this season, you're right. I don't think he will be, but yeah, it's a divorce in the making.
Well, I'm telling you, he's 36 years old. So if he goes as long as Brady, and there's no reason that he only has 9 good years left.
There you go.
Well, there's a lot of teams that would take Aaron Rodgers for 9 years.
Yeah.
knowing what they know.
Like the Chicago Bears would.
Like the Chicago Bears.
They'd like to have a quarterback that they could rely on.
Yes, I believe they would. It's been a while.
No offense, Chicago Bear fans. Okay, it is. I meant it. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about one other athlete.
Yeah.
Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Simone, she's
the GOAT, I found out over the weekend.
She is the GOAT. She has it embroidered on the back of her outfit, and she is the GOAT. She does what they call this, and I don't know if you've ever been able to do this, a Yurchenko double pike. And I thought, what is a Yurchenko double pike?
It's impressive is what it is.
I saw it a half a dozen times, and without really being in slow motion, I'm not quite sure what I saw. She jumps up off the vault and spins around a whole bunch of times, and then lands
with the legs straight.
Yeah,
which is harder than putting them in the tuck.
Well,
pike is tougher.
Oh, she is just incredible.
First woman to ever do it.
Yes.
They've said that a woman is not strong enough.
Yes.
Fast enough to make it happen. They can't do it. And Simone says the F with you guys, right?
Oh no, she's the finest gymnast in the world. And if she goes to Japan, if they have a Japanese thing, and I think they're probably going to go with it myself, but a lot of people are upset by it.
Yeah, I see it happening. There's too many jillions of dollars on the line. If somebody chooses not to go, I think that, but they delayed it a year. I think it's going to happen. That's my feeling. Now, whether the Winter Olympics happen in February, now that's whenever that is, That's going to be interesting because there's already people calling for boycotting of the Chinese because of what the Chinese are doing, and it's in Beijing, and what a tangled web we weave.
Oh boy, politics and sports. What are you going to do? And you can't. And to say you shouldn't have politics and sports. Well, I go back to 1936 Olympics, and I think didn't work then. It's not going to work now. It's hand and parcel with whatever it is. But if you've not seen Simone do this thing, go on TV, go on the computer. She's on CBS. There's 1,000 different ways. Simone Biles, it is impressive. You'll go, wow.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I was with Simone.
Adam Vinatieri retired today after 24 seasons.
He did.
It was time. 24, that means he's about 45, 46, still kicking. That's a lot. That's George Blanda-ish.
That is.
And so
I remember
congratulations to Adam on a great career.
No, it really was. But I do remember George Blanda. He was 49 years old, and I think he was backup for Darryl LaMonica, and LaMonica got hurt, and George was backup quarterback and kicker. And this was no sidewinder kicker either. This was a toe-to-toe type kicker. But Blanda had this smile on his face. He'd been playing in the league since 1949 or 48.
Yeah, 49 sounds right.
Yeah, and he'd done for all those years. And so anytime they mention again, old-timers can't do sports, George Blanda could. Nice boy.
Yeah. NBA playoffs? Have you been watching it? Your Memphis Grizzlies did okay.
They're doing well. They knocked off Utah the other night, 8th seed against the number 1 seed. And Brooks had, he had 39 points, and my friend Ja, he had 27 or 28. But between the two of them, how it's like when they played Los Angeles, and LeBron James launched a 45-foot whatever it was, and he took this jump shot intentionally, and it went in, and they won the game. And I just thought, wow, how do you do that? And, so these guys are just such great shooters, especially from long range. It's just, you can sit and watch them all night. But right after the hockey game tonight, if I do have anything left, I will be watching Utah and Memphis go on their second game.
Yeah, I think Utah is going to get Donovan Mitchell back. He was a little ticked. He missed the last 16 games of the regular season. He thought he was going to be playing in game 1 and didn't. So I'm putting my money on Utah tonight. But
they're probably a better team. I didn't think Memphis would make it. But again, this is the generational surge coming in. It's coming.
Phillies up 1-0 on Washington. I was going to say on the Bullets, but I can't say that.
No.
That's old school. For those of you that don't remember the Bullets, Brooklyn's up 2-0 on Boston. Kyrie Irving gets to go back to Boston. They're already expecting the worst out of the Boston fans, and we know that they can show their worst. Milwaukee's up 2-0 on Miami. Jimmy Butler, I thought the magic might happen from the bubble again. Haven't seen it quite yet from Jimmy Butler, but we'll see if they can turn it around in Miami. Atlanta got Trae Young. Yeah,
Trae Young
got a bucket at the buzzer. And did you hear what he said when he was walking in the tunnel back to the locker room?
Well, he
turned to his teammates and said, "Sure got quiet out there, didn't it?" Yeah, I did, Trey. Yeah, I did. So Atlanta and New York there. Atlanta's up 1-0. As I mentioned, Memphis up 1-0 on Utah. Phoenix and LA tied at 1. Come on, Suns. Get those Lakers out of there. Denver and Portland tied at 1. And how about the Dallas Mavericks?
They are Luka. There was a picture I saw. Here comes Luka. It said, "Oh shit! Here comes Luka again." And somebody. The T-Wolves played Dallas at the end of the year, and I don't know who Dallas put on the court, but the T-Wolves kind of rubbed it into them. They weren't going to rub into this team.
No, this is Kawhi Leonard had 41 in the game last night. Luka had 37 or 38, whatever it was. We've talked about it on this show. Dallas is an up-and-coming team.
They are.
When Luka is on his game, they're very tough to beat. The Clippers I think are going to go home early because this is going back to Texas and Dallas. I can't see Dallas losing 4 out of the next 5 right now. It could happen. But boy,
they are
I would be
team.
very, very happy if both LA teams were gone.
And that's a very strong possibility.
Very good possibility.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I haven't really got to watch much of it because, of course, with the Wild playing and everything else, it's tough to fit it all in.
I know.
You need a wall of TVs for all the playoff games and everything going on, but it's going to be fun.
It is.
What else you got before we go to local?
Let's see
Go
here.
for football. What do you got written down about go for football on the bottom?
Well, they had a great big article today, and
I know that article. I saw that.
PJ was saying, I'm concentrating on Ohio State, and we're Well, what are you concentrating on? Their defense, their offense? No, they're concentrating and filling the stands and having a sellout. And I'm thinking, oh, Coach, I'm not sure that's what you should be doing. You should be preparing for this because you have an opportunity to take one of the top teams in the nation and beat them opening game.
Here's I thought the article being put in the Star Tribune on May 26th was a little insane.
Yeah,
if you'd have written that article on July 26th, I would have still thought maybe you were a little nuts. But okay, it's May 26th. So the fact that he's not concentrating on Ohio State right now, I'm okay with that. They already know what they got to do against Ohio State. There's no secret what has to happen. But having a big crowd there, just like they did against Penn State a couple years ago, it is huge. They got to make sure that they don't get like in the old days when Wisconsin and Iowa used to come and have just as many fans in the dome as the Gophers did. So they need to make sure that they've got a raucous Gopher fan base there, and
I think they'll fill it up. I think they'll be able to fill it up legally.
I would think it's going to be very close by then, especially because it's outdoors.
2nd of September, it's a Thursday night.
You know what's going to happen, George? Can I make this prediction?
Yeah.
I don't know this yet, but the Broncos play one of your old IRC nemesis. Is that the right Nemesis?
Yeah, which one?
They get the Chisholm Blue Streaks.
Oh, really?
The first time I think the Broncos have played Chisholm since like 19. I didn't go back and look at it officially, Stuart. I know if you were going to watch this, I didn't go back, but I think since like 1975. The IRC was no more than 77.
Yeah.
And so, they get Chisholm the opening game the next 2 seasons. You know what's going to happen? They're not going to play that game on Friday night. They're going to play that game on Thursday night because they need officials. So they're going to move a certain number of games to Thursday night because it's Labor Day weekend. And guess where Tim's going to be?
You'll be calling the game.
I'm going to be calling the game instead of watching the Gophers play Ohio State. And of course, you know the way the Bronco games go. They're like 2.5-hour affairs that start at 7 o'clock. And Chisholm throws the ball just as much as the Broncos do. So we might not get out of there till like 10. And, so by that time the Gopher game will be over, and you'll have it recorded for me so I can watch it the next day.
Yes, I will. Yeah, absolutely. I always record it.
What else? Anything else that you got on your list? We'll finish up with playoffs.
I do have to say one thing about tonight. If you're not doing anything and it's really dark, go up and take a look at the moon. It's a blood moon tonight.
We're not supposed to get quite all of that.
I don't think we are, but I see the sky is pretty clear, and I can open up my windows here in the solarium and get some pretty good view as it goes across. So I just I saw some pictures of last night, and it was incredible. So
it'll be interesting to see what it looks like from our vantage point. Again, not supposed to be able to see the eclipse, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, and there was one note that I forgot to take off last week. Marv Albert died.
Marv Albert died?
Yeah.
I thought he retired.
No, I think he died.
No.
Was a retirement?
I think it was a retirement. Well, you're gonna make me look it up. That would be a big miss on my part. But if you're right, yes, we would have to discuss that. Marv Albert, American sportscaster. 79 years of age, no date of death.
Okay, well, I was wrong then.
Woo! 60 years in the business, though.
Oh, he was a talker.
Whew. Yeah, well.
I had it down in my notes for last week.
The best.
Cut that one, Darce.
The best get compared to him, so.
Yeah.
Ready to go local?
Yes, let's. I tell you, it doesn't happen every day that the Broncos win a state title.
The Broncos win a state title in bowling, and boy, I'll tell you, folks, it was, Saturday morning coach's corner, right?
Yeah.
10 o'clock you get done, pack everything up. They started at 10 o'clock. So then you get home, and of course, you got to see Eli, and then you got to run outside because you got to get this done and that done. So I think I sat down about 12:30 finally, and I turned it on. And they had just posted the score. They played a 7-match round robin. And after 6 matches, they were in 5th place in their pool. Well, you got to be top 4. Well, I shouldn't say that. You got to be top 3, and then they might take a 5th for a wild card. So they were on the bubble. And then they bowled really well that game 7, got themselves in as the 8th seed, took down St. Croix Lutheran in the first round, I thought pretty handily. Winona in the semifinals handled that pretty well. And then they got into the finals against a team that had beat them both games earlier in the pool play. And they absolutely took care of business, and they win the state championship.
Is this kind of a surprise?
They were the 4th seed going in.
Okay.
This is the 5th consecutive year they've gone to the state tournament. So they've got 2 senior bowlers that are really good in Nick Tanner and Carson Simonietz. And so no, this was not a surprise. I know when I watched them up here, Virginia gave them a run for their money. But I think that just goes to show you that these kids, if you listen to the Coach's Corner interview, Carson Simonietz said, we eat pressure for dinner, for breakfast. We like pressure. We eat that up. And to me, that team really did. I talked to Carson yesterday at school, and he said, I brought 6 bowling balls with. He owns 6 bowling balls. And he said the lanes in Bloomington, he couldn't find the right weighted ball because of the way the lanes were oiled. And he said, I could not find a way to get it into the pocket. And he said, finally, it took a while, but they finally found it. And when they found it, they bowled really, really well.
Fantastic.
So congratulations to coaches Barry Miller and Ralph Rule. And I'm going to see if I can get these off the top of my head. Nick Tanner, Carson Simonietz, Owen Worley, Nick Solar, Nick Bernath, Alex Robar, and Will Peterson. I got all 7 of them. Those were the guys that were on the team, and congratulations, guys. It's not, like you said, it's not every day that you get to say state champion, and so pretty cool.
It is.
Pretty cool. Playoffs get started next week. Well, playoffs got started, I should say, for golf. The first 2-day ones for the boys and girls teams took part Monday and Tuesday, and they'll play day 2 next week, which is on Tuesday, which is a different format than the last 12, 15 years, which is fine. Let's see what happens. But Kira Asen and Kelby Anderson for the girls, both right up there at the top. Kira, if the state would have been on a 1-day thing, Kira would have made it to state, and Kelby would just be outside of going to state. The boys team, they're sitting in 4th place right now. Top 4 teams make it to day 2, and Nick Tanner did himself pretty well. I think he's in 9th. Miles Mason's in 5th, and then Noah Shikowski, I think, was in, again, guess 32nd, 36th, and so was Mitchell Nemec. So I think they're 13 shots out of first place. Not insurmountable, but they would have to play fabulous to overtake Cloquet or Marshall.
They play this weekend and the next weekend.
They played Tuesday, and now they play next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, and then the state tournament.
And then if they're good enough, if you're on the winning team, or you are the next best 5
team. Okay.
Next 5 best golfers, you get to go to the States. So the boys and the girls have a chance to send somebody on both sides of the ledger. So it's going to be exciting next Tuesday morning to see how things start off and how things go.
Hey.
So good luck to them, and as we go. Playoff softball gets started on Monday for the Broncos. Right now, I'm going to guess that they're going to be playing Greenway. It doesn't look like, I thought they were going to get the 6th seed, and then Two Harbors went on a winning streak, and it looks like Two Harbors is going to jump them in the QRF, so it looks like the Broncos will get to play Greenway. Well, I don't know if you've been listening. Greenway's 19-0 right now.
Yeah, I heard they're good, yeah.
You know what the other part is hard to believe? They're 19-0, and they're going to get the number 2 seed, possibly.
Who's got the 1st seed?
Proctor.
And what are they?
They're 18-1, I think, right now. So, not saying Proctor. Anyway, Greenway beat Proctor. So, I don't know if Greenway, again, QRF magic sometimes, will Greenway get close enough to jump them, and then the Broncos would have to go play Proctor.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens. It all comes official on Saturday morning at some point, and of course, I always like to hope that it's going to happen while I'm on the air for Coach's Corner, because then you get to break the news.
You do.
But it doesn't work out that way. So, Little Fork Big Falls softball looks like they're going to get a home game against Ely. So, good luck to them. On the baseball, and Indus will also be in there. I don't want to play unfavorites to anybody. Indus probably heading over to Badger, Greenbush, Middle River to play their first game. That's just a little trip across the top of the state.
Yeah, as long as you're there, you might as well wrestle.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Baseball, the Broncos look like they're going to be the number 9 seed. I think they're going to be stuck there. That means they're going to get to play in Proctor next week as well. Looks like they might very possibly play Duluth Marshall. I don't know what that means. It is what it is. And then LBF baseball, again, looks like they're going to be in that 9, 10, 11 range, somewhere in there. So, of course, it's exciting times next week, Monday, Tuesday, with the softball and the baseball. And then you have the golf in there, of course. And then the track and field teams, they've got IRCs on Thursday down at Masabi. And then Wednesday, they've got the subsection next week, I believe back at Masabi again. So they'll get a chance to compete at Masabi's new facility there a couple of times. So hopefully that bodes well for performances.
Well, let's tell us about the baseball game on Friday and the fact that you're broadcasting this.
Of course, we did a lot of Your Live event games for the radio station for hockey and basketball this winter. Lots and lots. It seemed like all the time we were on the air, which was great. Thanks to all the sponsors and everything else. But I went and talked to Mike Bleasy at the school here 5 weeks ago, and I said, what are the chances we could get internet put in at the baseball field, into the booth? So we walked over to his window and we looked out the window, and he's like, well, there's internet on this pole over here on the other side of the softball field. He says if we could find a way to get the wire strung across there, we could have internet pretty easy. I said, could you check on that? About 2 hours later, he says Midco will be here on May 17th to put it in. And I'm like, what? Really? So they brought a machine and they burrowed right underneath the softball field. And we've got internet into the baseball press box. So thank you to Midco and thank you to Mike Bleasy and everybody who got it done. And so that means we got enough internet strength now to put a game on Your Live event. And we're going to have 2 cameras, one in the bleachers, one in the press box. And we'll have the space all taken up, and so it's kind of an exciting day.
Well, you got the students doing the work.
Mitchell Erickson's going to come over and do the camera in the bleachers, and then the one camera upstairs is just going to be stationary.
Okay.
And then I'll be doing the play-by-play and the color because Mike's leaving me in the lurch, as we say. And no, I'm excited. And it ought to be a good game. Cherry's got a decent baseball team, and so I'm hoping that our first venture into baseball on YourLiveEvent.com, KCC TV, Midco Channel 7, where you're possibly watching us here. And
we've come a long ways, baby.
We've come a long ways. It's been interesting, and of course, it's all because of what he got started a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So, bowling, softball, baseball, track and field, golf. I know the trap shooters are busy.
Yes.
Matter of fact, right now, they're probably done by now. They're over in Badette. They're taking on Badette, and Lake of the Woods is going to come over here next week. And they got a nice trophy a traveling trophy that
where do they do their shooting over here? Out at the shooting gallery?
Yeah, out east of town there.
East of town?
So that's going on. And then, of course, the bass fishermen had their first tournament.
I was wondering that, yeah.
Horrid conditions on Sunday. Cold. But Julius Maish and Hayden Swenson got the win. Not too bad. 5 fish, 15 pounds plus, 15 pounds, 11 ounces, I think, if I remember the number right.
That's 3 pounds apiece. That's not bad.
And I don't know if you were listening, but Julius Maish got the biggest fish. 4 pounds, 3 ounces.
Nice fish.
When I talked to Julius, he said, no kidding. He says, I'm not lying to you, Ringer. He said, I cast it out there. He said it was in the water maybe 3 seconds. Bam, 4 pound, 3 ouncer on the 3 seconds in the boat. He gets hit, and a minute later it's in the boat. So, just kind of crazy how things work. But they're actually going to go to Kaptogama and Namakin. That's where their next one is. And then they go to Pelican and Vermilion, and then they come back and do Rainy towards the end of the summer. So they don't have any fish there. They put them right back in the lake. They weigh them, take pictures of the scale, so there's proof, and it's kind of the honor system. They got 32 kids fishing.
This is really taken off, and
it's crazy.
I've seen some of these kids. These are some of the best athletes in school, and this is what they like to do, and it's real proud of those guys. They've done well.
It's a different animal. It's kind of crazy how it works, and they got 16 guys and gals. I just got guys this last time. They go out and take their boats out.
Yeah.
And they pay them for gas. The parents pay for the gas, and the guys get to go out and fish and teach the kids and the guys get to fish now. That's the thing. The guys who drive the boat captains, they get to drive, or they get to fish as well. Not just sit there and watch. They get to fish as well, and they kind of put the weights. They count all the weights together, and so you really got 3 people in the boat fishing.
So your boat's fishing.
So everybody's fishing, so it's you got a chance to catch more fish that way.
Sure.
Bigger fish that way, and I think
it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun, and I think the captains are more involved. They're more vested in what's happening, and so kudos to everybody that makes it happen. You got kids involved. You got them doing something on a Sunday. Yeah. On a Sunday that they probably been out fishing anyway, most of them. But you got them out there competing and trying to do the best they can. And what I like about it best, George, and some people might think I'm nuts, but just like if you go down and watch the International Falls Bass Championship, Gary Potter, is the MC there. Gary goes out and fishes, and then he comes and MCs, and he does it just like that. But the best part of all of it is this: he makes the kids talk. There's no getting out without not saying something. And so those kids got up in front of 150 people standing on a stage in the Rainier Hall because they were going to do it outside. But the weather was so darn bad, they moved it inside, which was a great idea. But they get the kids up there and they get them to talk in front of people, which is difficult. They've got 8th graders, 9th graders out there. They get up and they got to talk in front, and they had to project so I could hear in the back of the room.
Projection.
That's a big deal to get kids up in that situation. So they're learning to fish, and they're learning to do whatever, but they make them get up there and they make them talk, and some people might say, well, that's not a big deal. To get up on a stage and talk in front of people is not an easy thing to do. I think a lot of us know that. I used to have my issues, hard to believe, getting up in front of it and talking to people, but it's a skill that is great to learn, and it will make them better off in the future.
Well, I always said if you can sing a song in front of 1,000 people, you can do anything.
And if Lefty Kern can do it, you're not too tough to do it yourself.
I know, but it was and also I on stage I had an opportunity to kiss a pretty girl in front of 1,000 people.
Whoa,
that was fun too. It could have been
I had my opportunity to do that, and I said, can we rewrite the script so I don't have to do that, because I really didn't want to do that.
Well, that was different.
There was how do I put this? What if you screwed it up? The kiss.
Well,
I didn't want, as a 10th grader in high school, I didn't want that kind of pressure.
You have to practice. That's the thing. You have to rehearse this thing. Get it right.
We need more practice. More practice. There you go. Anything else?
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, you got to tell me about Bob Dylan because it was his 80th birthday.
80th birthday yesterday, and we started off with All Tangled Up in Blue. And then we went, I'll Be Your Baby Tonight. And before it was all done, we were doing the Traveling Wilburys, and I was entertaining the whole town. And we topped it off with Dylan and the Dead doing Knock, Knock, Knock on Heaven's Door. And so all at maximum volume, the solarium rocked. So it was really a good time. I have not played any Dylan songs yet today, but I have this biograph, and there's 5 albums, and there's so much music on there. It's incredible.
Wow, George, yeah. we've been doing. I think we filled the allotted time.
I think really.
I think we're over an hour because the Wild.
They're getting ready to go.
While the puck drop says in 1925-24, and the puck drop I think is at 8:15. So
we did well. I was worried I didn't have enough stuff today.
We always have enough stuff.
We always have enough.
People say, "How do you fill an hour?" I don't know. We just start yapping, and there it is. There's an hour. Good enough.
Good enough.
Go Wild.
Yes, get them.
Thanks, everybody.